Okay, with Vanessa Van Wormer, The Dust in This Place is the short film. It's a dance ballet film. It's 20 minutes long, really well performed, with nice photograph, nice location. 20-minute ballet films are not easy to do from my experience, and you pulled it off. So I guess the vague question is, how did you pull it off?
Well, I was thinking about it in terms of a one-act ballet, which is about 20 minutes. Usually you
Yeah.
see bill or something of the sort. And it was commissioned for an institution that was looking for something at that length by West Side Ballet. And so I went into it thinking about the structure that could be supported through basically different scene developments, relational developments. How could we explore different aspects of each character in a way that we might not be able to on stage by transporting people to different locations, which I felt would support really well how we saw their internal monologue. Um,
Mhm.
and so I was looking to arc the piece through a series of duets and solos that unveiled their complexity of this relationship and why these places mattered to their story.
So what is your experience making dance films? Like how many have you made so far?
Yeah, so this is the longest film to date that I have made. I've been experimenting in work and film for about the past 5 years, but haven't really pursued it to the in submitting it to festivals and really trying to get the work out. I'm a long-term choreographer. That is my first passion. I'm a professor of dance and have been a professional dancer in the past, and so I've been a practitioner in that field for 20 plus years. And then the work in film has been an evolving interest. So I've made just a handful of films to date, but it's definitely a passion of mine that I'm interested in exploring the intersection of ballet specifically with film.
Okay, so you're a teacher, obviously you were a professional dancer, you're a choreographer, so you're very well trained, you know what you're doing. Why film? Why did you want to get into film?
Yeah. Well, as I said, I've been a follower of dance film for a long time. As a choreographer, I've been interested in it, but not wanted to pursue it myself. And honestly, probably the answer a lot of people give, I feel, is the pandemic was a turning point for me.
Yeah.
I was teaching choreography from my home and exploring how could I still teach choreography and compositional skills in a meaningful way to students in their spaces. And I took that as an opportunity to really do a deep dive myself into the craft from a choreographer's perspective, but really trying to understand how to come at it as a filmmaker. And I started working with my mentor, Katrina McPherson, who's a dance filmmaker out of Scotland. And she was working out of University of Utah at the time, was offering a graduate course. I started working with her through that, and that evolved into a relationship where then she came to California and we worked together. And that sort of opened that door of how to look at the possibilities of film beyond a stage. I've always been really interested in site work and bringing dance into location, but having the ability to then work with bending time and space with film was a very exciting tool for me to think about how I could do what I love, but bring other audiences around the world into the mix. Just explore the storytelling element of how film can allow us to have a more intimate relationship with dancers that typically we don't have that kind of relationship with in live theater.
Well, yeah, and also too, it's there forever, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
yeah. This has got a beginning, middle, and end story to it. Their dancers are not just dancing. There's moments, like between the insert of different locations where they're performing, they're acting. Did you ever made a film like this where like there's an actual kind of like I know your other dance films have had stories there, but there's the acting ability. There's like they're you know showcasing their emotion through acting, not just dancing.
Right. This was the first film that I've done, experimented with that exact idea. My rationale for that was that I wanted to make a film that felt narrative and yet was using ballet as its primary modality. And that was a big question of mine going into the film. Could I do that? Could I have these dancers be humans and not just dancers out in a
Yeah.
relationship? And so the cafe for me scene really anchored that for me as here they are in their humanity and working with them more in that sort of acting sensibility, and then we could get transported to these other places which felt much more like their abstract psychological space or metaphors for how they were doing in their inside of their relationship. So yeah, it was a very fun challenge to figure out how to blend those two.
So did you like when you got this idea, did you kind of write it like a script? Like what was your process of kind of in development?
Yeah, well, I had a creative team that we started just building the idea, the concept, and the concepts came in tandem with finding the locations and with the dancers, knowing who my dancers were. So
Yeah.
I didn't go into this thinking, here's my story, here's the exact storyboard, all of that from the beginning. But it evolved as we began to extract, well, what is this story? Who are these people? Why are they here? And then we built sort of an idea board that each scene essentially had a goal inside of itself. Where are these people and why are they here at this moment? And then why do we get juxtaposed to another moment? And we had a lot of ways because it is a narrative in a way, but it's also quite abstract in that we're dealing with memory and what might happen, what has happened. There were a lot of possible ways to actually connect the ideas, these
Yeah.
individual scenes. And so that some of that actually happened in post when we figured out what made sense,
Yeah.
but it was definitely an idea board that had each thing mapped out and we knew sort of what location, why they were in each location.
So the locations are fantastic and the well you're on the road, so it's like a kind of Route 66. I guess you shot on Route 66, right?
That's right.
And then I guess you just kind of just went out and just shot the outside exterior, I guess, right?
Yeah, so we were working on actually an abandoned part of Route 66. So that
Yeah.
had the advantage of not a lot of traffic, although one of our film crew got dangerously close to a very speeding car once that we didn't see. But for the most part, we were working in abandoned. The Baghdad Cafe is actually the Baghdad Cafe from the film, for those of you that are familiar with that. Still the original owner who actually just passed away, Andrea Pruitt. And she was really gracious to allow us to work inside of the space and use the exterior. Um, it's a functioning cafe that brings in tourists, mostly from France. So that was a really interesting experience to have this abandoned Route 66
Yeah.
cafe that she allowed us to shoot in. And then we worked in Lancaster with a film location out there, and then some exterior places that were also around Newberry, California, off of Route 66.
So people don't know Route 66 takes you from Chicago to like LA, Santa Monica,
All
right?
the way here in Santa Monica, where I'm sitting right now, yes.
Yeah. And you say you're in Santa Monica. Have you ever taken the full route to Chicago?
Full route, not yet.
Okay. Like, how far have you gotten to Arizona, New Mexico?
Yeah, to Arizona. Yeah, that's about as
Okay.
far. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That's
beautiful.
pretty cool. And what it like it's the first highway, right? First American highway?
Right.
Gotcha. So there's something, there's a symbolism there, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I guess there's like tons of famous stops along the way. It's actually a pretty cool drive to take.
There are. I know there's a lot of blog sites and things you can go to that have mapped out various destinations. And of course, because they have replaced that road as the main thoroughfare,
Yeah.
there are a lot of ghost towns, which makes it a really interesting place to just
Yeah.
experience kind of old California.
Well, I think that the movie, the movie way back with Cars did that, right?
Right. Yes.
Where they were in an abandoned town, right? They were waiting for us because it's like because everybody took the main, the new revamped highways, I guess, right? So,
Yeah.
okay, and then the abandoned house. I got to ask about the abandoned house. Where'd you find that?
Oh, so okay. So there is a bit of a story here. Um, we had actually totally different locations until about a week prior. And the movie ranch that we had scheduled to actually film everything on sold. And they neglected to tell me until about a week prior that the location had been sold and we would no longer be able to film there. And I already had everything, of course, in place, so the talent, the crews, and everything. And so it became a real adventure for our team to locate a new bank of spaces. And this particular space is out on a ranch in Lancaster, and found it through one of this, hosting sites that we have here that have different locations available. Called this person and they said, well, actually the property, it's been sold in the family, but you can come and be the last shoot here. And so we jumped on that and we booked that location. And it was interesting because we were the last site shoot there. They really gave us a lot of leeway. They said, move anything that you need to, use the
Oh
space that
wow.
it's yours, and it's going to be gone. It's being absorbed into this other property. So it really is as abandoned as it looks out there. It's quite far removed. Of course, there's things around, but I think they build that as like a zombie apocalypse site or something. And so we cleared a lot of the other things that were out and really worked with the dust, worked with the tattered curtains. We really tried to work with the location. We really felt like it had a lot of story there, and that was what we were interested, is that preservation of story that's left behind and past versions of a place. And so it was freezing cold. It's at the base level of the desert. So, we were out there, of course, really early to catch the sun and pretty cold conditions. And by the end of the day, it's sweltering conditions. So it was pretty extreme
Yeah.
to film out there.
There's a story in that too, right? Like how
Exactly.
like the weather changes so drastically on the
Yep.
desert.
Yep. Exactly.
And okay, so then yeah, well, I guess you got like lucky by losing your first location, right? Because
I think we did actually,
yeah,
because even working at the Baghdad Cafe, which was a bit further out than we wanted to go, but in the end, it had that richness of a piece of there was a real history in that cafe, and the
yeah.
cafe itself held all these different stories that felt like it was really actually meant to happen there.
But it's thematically drives your story, right? Like
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
about this couple, right?
Yeah, I
So
needed a place for them to be that felt like it was a holding place, a
yeah.
waiting, and the cafe felt like the most obvious sort of place that we could recognize where that sort of conversation happens, transition conversations, and yeah.
So tell me about the two performers. Where did you find them?
Yeah, so um, I'm really lucky to have a wonderful bank of professional dancers here in Los Angeles, and also dancers that are interested in acting, and crossover between those two. David Prodas is a former dancer with New York City Ballet who now is based here and does a lot of theater as well as dance. I'm colleagues with him. We teach at the same place, and I've seen him perform, and knew just by his sort of magnetic energy and also technical ability that I was interested in working with him, and he was excited to join the team. And then Sadie Black has been a local dance company member here in many, many companies, including Los Angeles Ballet. And she actually, I saw her in a class one day. Um, this is why I always encourage people to think about not performing so much, but just being authentically yourself in a situation where you're meeting other people. And I just really watched the way that she took class and her passion and the way that she brought her entire spirit. And she has had no acting experience, and so this was a really new project for her to delve into. But she really embraced it and brought such a raw authenticity to the work, as well as her, of course, beautiful, beautiful dancing.
That's yeah, they're fantastic. You did the choreography, right?
That's right. Yes.
So
Yeah.
what did you have lots of preparation time before you actually like shot the film?
So we had about 4 weeks of rehearsal that
Oh
was in.
wow.
So it was pretty fast, but it was also intensive. And of course, a lot of work went into that beforehand where I was working through the choreography myself. Um, and because of their busy schedules as freelance dancers, that's the time really that they could commit. We might have had 5 weeks, I think, with our week with the camera crew. Um, but yeah, what's so fantastic about working with this caliber of dancer is that they're able to absorb and just bring so much to the table from the first rehearsal. Not only are they fast, they're seasoned, and so they bring a lot of the nuance into the room, which felt just like a lot of fun. Actually, I love the rehearsal process. And then we had not very long with the actual camera operators and DP, but they were involved in the idea process, so they knew really closely how we were going to go about filming it, even though we knew some of it was going to evolve in the moment when we were with the dancers.
Oh wow, and that's how you kind of figured out your shot list with the DP.
Yeah, yeah. We went through each section and really talked about what was the feeling that we wanted to have in each section. What was how do we want to experience what's going on with the camera in a really embodied way with that person in that place and time. And that really
Mhm.
helped shape, of course, what kind of camera to use and our lens and the relationship of the camera, whether it was on more of a still stagnant kind of feeling, or do we want to be moving with the dancer? And so some of that we actually went through and created a score with the movement piece, and then some of it we worked when we actually got to the site and saw what was going to work well. And we have, of course, so much footage, but I'm really pleased with how we arrived.
Well, you changed the mood and style of your film as you progressed, right?
Yes.
So like near the end, it's very like lots of like fast cuts, right? Move camera movements, and then before it was like you're kind of like you're still with the like especially the abandoned house, you're still with the shot, I guess.
Yeah, that was intentional to help us open up and feel the intensity of the physical movement that the dancers were experiencing by the time we get to the end.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, and it's almost like a kind of like a memory. Like the last part is like a memory in a sense, right? Because they're sitting at the coffee shops, everything's kind of in their
Yes.
nostalgia or in their like in their heads, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think different viewers have said different things with how they experience the work. Some people see it as a memory and possible like processing of the past. Other people see more of a what if kind of situation. And I think it's interesting to hear how different people perceive.
Gotcha.
But
So what is
time,
it then? Is it the what if or the memory?
yeah, so I think for me, it's actually kind of both. But my initial idea for this was those choose your own adventure stories. I don't know if you ever read those. They're a
Sure,
bit,
yeah.
but this idea, if we had one kind of anchoring moment in time, that there were possible responses to that moment, what might
Yeah.
we, but the stories kind of, it got more weighted than that by the time we actually were developing who these people were, and we realized, no, they've been through something. There's something there that these two are working through, and I think the film actually becomes a combination of fragmented past and also potentially paths for the future for them.
Well, you have like kind of like home video shots of the baby, right? Like of the child. So kind of gives something like that the child's not with them any longer or yeah.
Yeah, and that is a response we've had from people, and I think it's what I love about dance film is
Yeah.
suggestive narrative, but people can really experience kind of what they need to feel or what they where they're at. So, but yes, definitely the home video brings a different weight to the film, and I'm pleased that we ended up working in that way with it.
So who was the child? Like who was the performer?
My daughter, actually, and my
Yeah.
other
I
daughter.
had a feeling, yeah.
Yeah, my at the time 6-year-old was taking the footage of my 2-year-old, and honestly, we were playing around with the Super 8 camera,
Yeah.
and we weren't initially intending to use that bank of footage. And then that was one of the surprises of the film is when we felt actually we think it needs to go there.
Well, I'm impressed that they have a Super 8 camera in today's
What?
technology with,
Yeah,
yeah. How did
yeah.
that happen? That's amazing.
Well, my creative team, Andrew and Teresa Alden, they were DP and editor. I've worked with them for a long time, and they're really interested in pushing the boundaries of things and
Yeah.
recalling the past and really experimental. And so I'm always game for it. It was I think Andrew's idea has I have this idea to work with the Super 8. What do you think? And so well, I trust you, Andrew, and he showed me kind of the quality of it, and it made sense with working with memory to evoke that kind of feeling through that sort of footage.
So the last location, kind of like I guess in the desert,
Mhm.
one assumes that her feet were very dirty after that dance.
Yes, their dust was everywhere, which kind of inspired the title, to be quite honest. Um, yeah, I mean, we had to take a lot of because the sun was so extreme and the movement is so big and the ground is hard, all of those things we had to really pace the dancers just to
Yeah.
keep stamina up and their health, of course. But yeah, I don't think anything returned home clean after that shoot.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of amazing that you said you just started filming like during the COVID era. You just started doing filming, and this is a very professional film. Even the way you bring teams together, you describe about bringing teams together and collaborating. I'm assuming that's how dance is in a lot of ways. So maybe you kind of picked up on that style, but it's very innovative. Even like you said, you brought in the cinematographer to see some of the rehearsal and like usually there's stages, right? And it's like certain members come into like your camera or lighting team comes in just for production, right? So
Yeah, I mean, certainly, I mean, it's been a whole new world opening up into the world of cinema,
yeah,
and the roles are somewhat different, but we're working with light. We're in the same ways that we're working in theater, even though we're working with natural light. And there's the tools change, but it's been a long time passion of mine to work collaboratively, to work on projects that think outside the box. site-specific work, working with musicians, live artists, so like that,
Yeah.
it feels like film is an extension of the type of work and the way that I work. Just a new chapter for me.
So they say where the magic happens is in editing. You kind of referenced it before, but the the music is obviously so important. Did you already have the music picked out before you started shooting?
Yes and no. Again, my fantastic team, Andrew is also the composer for the film,
I
and
saw that in the credit. Yeah.
yeah, we've
Yeah.
worked together for a number of projects over the years. And so when I approached him about this and writing the score, traditionally he would write something or we would co-create something at the same time where I'm working on the choreography, he's working on the score. We knew it was going to be different this time because the film wouldn't be done. And so this was the first time that we worked in this way where I worked with his music in the rehearsal process and we selected sort of thematic ideas and motifs and things from various his body of work, and that became the seed for how I crafted each section choreographically. But it wasn't until the film was actually each piece was edited into its own scene that we then brought him in to actually compose for that scene. So that was its
Mhm.
own process of figuring out, okay, here's where we started, is this where we still are with this piece? And then of course, creating a cohesive score that felt like it really brought together the whole world was an important part for both of us. So it was a new experience and challenging in a way to not have the music to anchor the movement. And for the dancers too, I know they spoke about how unusual that was to perform in silence in the desert to something when, very traditionally you would work with the score. So
Mhm.
yeah, all of the editing with the sound and the actual score itself came after the film was edited, but in close collaboration.
Well, I hope you're proud of this film. It's fantastic. So I hope it does. It's like I said, it's very like 20 minutes dance film. That's a tough one, but you pull it off. It's like I hope it gets its rewards at other festivals, including ours, and I just think it's fantastic.
Thank you
And I
so
like
much.
your website too. It's you got a lot going on.
Thank you. Yes, maybe you can see a little bit more of who I am and why I made
Yeah.
this.
Well, you got your teacher, your performance. Yeah, you're just like making movies, right? So,
All in.
when did you start doing ballet? How old were you?
Oh, I was young. I was, 5 years old when I
Okay.
started, and actually started when I saw some photographs my mother had taken of some ballet dancers in college, and I knew I wanted to do that. That was my start, and then took various paths. Was in theater for a little while, and but found my way back to dance and making work as a passion of mine. Has always been there.
But how old were you when you kind of knew that maybe this is something that you can do for your life or career?
I mean, I think I always knew, to be honest. I always knew I would want to do it somehow. Um, in high school, I mean, I only looked at colleges that were dance programs. I sort of had the track in mind very, very early on that
Yeah.
I knew dance would be in my life somehow. I didn't always know how, but there was nothing else I could consider myself doing. And so I pursued that fully.
So my daughter does like she does ballet, but she also does other dances too, and she does like competitive, which
Uh-huh.
is like I know nothing about it, but I was like getting into it in the last couple of years. She's 9,
Okay.
and it's insane like how there I think it's really valuable for her because they learn so much about teamwork and about like kind of discipline and like you get better every time. So I think it's like it depends on the teacher and the of course, right? But
Yes, no, I think dance training is fantastic for many reasons, but
well,
that's
yeah.
yeah, exactly. I'm a
So,
teacher, so I could talk all day about that.
but what do you like what do you think that like is the what like a, what do you think like a parent should learn? I'm sure you get crazy parents, right?
Now I teach in college, so now it's a
Okay, gotcha.
different ballgame, but I have taught certainly with and worked with parents. No, for parents, I mean, certainly the discipline, just the discipline of showing up and working to a goal that's bigger and outside yourself. All of those skill sets that come with training in that way. But I
Yeah.
also dance is special in the way that it opens up the imagination and creativity and
Mhm.
problem solving. I think right now more than ever, we need creative thinkers that can use their minds to look at situations and put pieces together from different sources of input and solve problems. Like we're in a world that we need good problem solvers and creative ones and inspirational ones. And dance does that because every day you come in there, you're doing the same things, but your body's changing. You're working with different people. You're working to interpret an idea and use your body to help do that.
Mhm.
I mean, our bodies are instruments, our minds are so integral in helping us communicate through our body and through our artistry. So I just think dance makes fabulous humans. So
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's then when you're doing choreography in a group, which I think you do, right? You got to do it like everybody's got strengths and weaknesses, and how do you put it all together and tell a story, right? So
exactly. And working to develop who they are and become really confident in who they are and take some ownership in their artistry and their voice. It's always really beautiful to see.
but you're teaching like you said, you're teaching college students, so it's like they have a different mindset where this is what they want to do. So it
Yeah.
must be very competitive with each other, and I'm assuming because it's everybody's kind of like battling in a sense.
It can be that way in some places, but overall, I have found that the dance community is actually very supportive of one another
Yeah.
because they understand the demands and the reality. And it is a community, and it's also a very small community. The circles doesn't take long to find somebody who's worked with someone and knows somebody. And so I think overall, I found more support than sort of the maybe sometimes the stereotype of it being a really cutthroat industry. Again, that differs depending on which circle you're in, but my experience has been a really positive one.
Well, keep making movies. I think you have the bug now, right? You're going to keep
I think
doing it.
so. Yes, I will. I am planning on it.
Do you have another project in mind?
Not currently. Right now, I'm letting this one sort of show me where it's going to go and sort of, I mean, certainly I have questions about who wants to see this kind of work? How long does it need to be to tell the story it needs to tell? And so
Yeah.
I'm settle and simmer for a little bit. And I know that the next idea is not too far around the corner, though.
Yeah, maybe down the road, you never know. Maybe a feature dance film.
See, yeah.
Yeah. You got the choreography chops to do it, right? So
Thank
not
you
many people have that ability, right? Or that talent.
so much.
Well, I see the poster behind you. It's a great poster too. So I actually I'm honest. I really believe because I know that like these are tough films like in this kind of length and style, but I really champion these films. So I wish you the best of luck with it.
Thank you so much. And thank you for doing what you're doing and helping to get the work out there and unify people in this way too.
Thank you.